Good afternoon, it's Joyful Hermit. I'm going to talk about labels and trends and more on psychology and the labels that have changed or altered or brought forward from, say, the 1940s, and then how to deal with some of these things when people act a certain way to us in regards to how we love as God loves. So there's this term called gaslighting. And the term, it's become very popular again. Actually, it was developed in the 1940s, or it came out of an incident in the 1940s when a husband, they had gaslit home, well-off man, and he didn't love his wife anymore and was always putting her down. And he started messing with the gas light. He had dimmers. And he was able to just slightly tweak it, make it a little brighter, a little dimmer, a little brighter. And off and on, he would do this. And she would say, well, something's wrong with the lights. Is that, did you see that? Or he would flicker it. And no, I didn't see it. Well, what are you thinking? And eventually it grew into where he was saying, well, you must be crazy or something. Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with your brain, with your eyes. She'd get things checked out. No, he kept this up. And his goal was to dehumanize her and to get her to the point where she would think she was crazy, or whatever he would tell her was the reason for this. She would believe. That's Mercy shaking. Shaking the laptop even. So she was shaking her little body. So he would do this intentionally. He wanted to have control over her and to ultimately get her out. Sure enough, she did have a breakdown, went crazy. And I think he probably had her put in the hospital or something. That term, gaslighting, continued on and was revitalized not long ago. It's become very trendy to gaslight someone. And that's what it means. And the goal is to have control over another person, or to ruin the person's self-esteem and confidence in themselves, or to get rid of them, to have them want to be away from you, or actually crack up. And even if they don't have a breakdown, that type of mental and emotional abuse and toying with a person can make a person break down inside, and their lives become miserable. They aren't who they were. They've lost their sense of self because this other person has embedded repeatedly certain statements, such as, you're crazy, you're weird, I never liked how you were strange, or I'm just giving some that I've been called quirky, you're fat, if you keep eating, if you have those chips, you're going to be fatter than you already are when you're thin. They do this regardless. It's just a constant, but sometimes subtle or subconscious or conscious. It's either way. Any way to bombard you, to negate you, and to destroy you. You're unattractive. Well, I had this affair with this person because you weren't enough. You're not good in bed. Something's wrong with you. You need to see a sex psychologist. When I had this affair, the only reason was because she makes me feel good. Or he says I'm beautiful. And he says he loves me, and you don't enough. It can be men or women gaslight. So I'll try to interject from both genders. You're bad at your career. You're a bad teacher. Why you're bothering getting your doctorate in administration when you're terrible educated? You're a terrible teacher. You're a horrible mother. and our children are suffering because of you, or you're not involved as a dad when they are. These are all things that the person actually is okay, but they keep getting told they're not in various formats. Then comes along a term called triangulation. Triangulation is triangle when another person is used or involved in helping to tear down the person. And it could be, say, bringing up someone the person's having an affair with, who the wife or husband even knows this person. Well, they even say, and that's why I'm doing this. That's why I cheated. You made me cheat because you were not giving me attention that I needed. A lot of times narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths, they're the types that get into, also OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, where they're perfect and you're not. And they're constantly telling you, you don't do this right. You forgot to load the dishwasher correctly. You didn't put the 2 squirts of Dawn dish detergent in the toilet, and now you jammed it up with your huge bowel stools. Seriously, that's what I didn't have that one, but somebody else did. Just crazy. And then if there's someone else around, a child or something, you engage the child. Isn't that true about your dad? Or isn't that true about your mother? Or a friend who's there, happens to be over. You have a couple over. And the husband might start ranting at the wife. Look at this place. It's a mess. Well, Jan, you don't have your house a mess, and Jan and Steve, your house is always perfect. Every time I go there, how is it you do that, Jan? The man might be saying this to this other woman. How is it that you're able to keep your house looking perfect all the time? It always looks so good. And so here does a terrible job. And isn't that true? You do keep your house. And how do you do it? And they get the other person saying, well, I just do a room a day, or whatever. And the husband says, oh, yes, she does a great job. Engage the other person to help put you down, when maybe the fact of it is that you're working full time, taking courses, taking care of children, and dealing with the husband who's cheating on you. So you don't have the time to clean a room every day before you get up and go to work because you're exhausted, or it's not your thing. And you're working as much and more as the spouse he can help. Well, they do things like that, or they are, say, you have someone in your family who never liked who you married, and you can easily get them to agree. Oh, this is terrible food. Oh, she never cooks well. Or he never can keep a job. He's always he's never satisfied with his work. He got another bad review from his boss. The wife can start in on the husband like that. And maybe her dad happens to be there, and her dad never liked the husband. What? Oh my, well, I had my job for 42 years when I worked. Ways to draw other people in, to triangle it, to bring a third person in, a third party, even an imaginary or someone even from a novel, to use that as a resource, as an example of someone who does it right, or who's good, or who's better, or who makes the husband happy, or who makes the wife happy. Oh, so-and-so got a beautiful gift for Christmas. Or, well, so-and-so's allowed to play golf both days of the weekend. And why are you nagging at me? So-and-so's wife doesn't. Or maybe the man's there. Does your wife do this to you? Might laugh, ha ha ha, but it's no joke. They mean it to get their way, to put you down, to destroy who you are, and to make you start second-guessing yourself. Am I not good in bed? Am I not this? Am I terrible at my work? Do I look ugly? Am I overweight? Um, am I not athletic and he's athletic? But gosh, in high school I was athletic, and what's he talking? But you start second guessing. That's gaslighting, triangulation. Then there's a term called the flying monkey. The flying monkey is someone else who knows the couple or knows the person. It doesn't have to be a couple. It can be a friend can do this to another friend because they want to feel superior. So they put you down and they pick areas that they're very good at. Like maybe you have a friend who's very well off and is very good with finances and investing, and very frugal, was frugal and whatever, and amassed a lot of money, and has never had bad luck or being uh, ripped off in a house deal or something. So life is a bed of roses. And they know that, and they feel very proud of themselves for that. And they look at you, and if something goes wrong in your life, then they're giving you unasked for advice and telling you what you need to do and where you went wrong. And regardless of the circumstances of what happened, maybe they got more inheritance and invested that, and you had inheritance and had to use it to help your kids get through school, or chose to use it that way, which is a nice thing to do. But then, something else happens and you're struggling financially. So this person is gaslighting you, but somebody else comes along who knows you and knows this other person. And they know if they tell this other person, hey, look at her, she can't help it that she lost her career or whatever, and spent her money this way for her family, and her ex didn't keep up with the child support or whatever the situation, or yes, she isn't good at investment or whatever, or spent things that she shouldn't have spent on. Maybe it's true in some ways, but this other person then doesn't want to disagree with the gaslighter, because if they do, the gaslighter will come on to them, or the gaslighter is a stronger personality and someone you want to impress more than the one that's being gaslit. So you don't say anything. You don't come to the defense of the person who's being beaten up verbally or mentally or psychologically, and to protect yourself. And so in essence, the flying monkey enables the gaslighter, and in that sense also adds to, and it can be a group of people who say a family or parents don't want to say something when they see a daughter-in-law being abusive to her husband, because it's their daughter doing it, and they love their daughter and their daughter does no wrong or something, so they let it go. But they really know it's not kind, it's not nice, but they don't say anything. So they're the flying monkeys. They let it go for selfish reasons, usually self-protection and wanting to keep friendship with the gaslighter, and they don't care if they keep friendship with the other person that much. So that's the flying monkey. Then there's something called gray rocking. If you gray rock, this can work both ways. This can work for the gaslighter if it's part of their plan, their ability to gaslight, if the person is being reduced in front of you or tries to defend themselves, starts to speak up a little bit. Well, I'm not really like that. Give me facts. You say that I fall all the time. Tell me when. When have I fallen? And it's not all the time, but give me the time. When do you think? If they don't like that, they will gray rock, meaning blank face, not respond. Turn their head, walk away, whatever. But usually just stay there and not respond, maybe look at you like, well, you ought to know what when it was, but or you know, that kind of treatment is gray rocking, neither black nor white, but you're giving a blank face, a blank affect, and not allowing any credence back to what the person's trying to say in defense of themselves. Although the person who's being gaslit can also use gray rocking, and that is if you want to try to stop someone from gaslighting you, you stop reacting. You don't show emotion, you don't show anger, you don't show upset. You don't say anything back. You don't defend yourself. You just become passive and ignore it. And they may keep talking, but they're not getting the reaction that they want. They're not driving you crazy. They're not making you doubt yourself anymore. So it's mostly used as a technique by the person who's being gaslit, but also gaslighters will use that as part of their subconscious and conscious persecution of you to put you down and to gain control. So there's also yellow rocking, which is a more obvious walking away, leaving, that kind of thing, because it's a more obvious rock. I guess that's how they got the term for that. So part of me chuckles because I've lived long enough now that even in education, different trends would pass even in the time period from when I was in school and taking education courses as an undergrad, and when I was a teacher or out of teaching, and would hear these new trends, new labels for the very same thing that was tried 20 years ago. So things cycle in and out. But now with social media and TikTok and all these things that you can get money for clicks, trends and new labels are coming up like roses popping up or flowers in the spring, because it's money behind it. And if you can develop a new concept and write a book about it, wow, then you've done it too. And the labels are fine, but you have to learn these new labels like I did. So when you're reading up about the disorders and doing a little double check on yourselves to make sure that we are in balance and not at the point of disorder, but our personalities are in check, learn the terms, may as well, because you're going to come across them online. As soon as I started looking online of some of these disorders, I came across all these terms. And but that's how they develop. And frankly, I think, why not just say it's when some stop putting me down? But gaslighting is trendy, and it did come from the 40s. So it's really been around longer, but it dropped in the background, but has a resurgence now with social media. Anyway, those are different terms that are used out there. And the goal is to try basically to destroy someone, or if not to destroy them, to get them in a position, it's like a psychological blackmail, to get them in a position where they will do what you want them to do. And also, for the narcissists, it will make yourself feel better, superior, like you know. In fact, a person might say, well, you really blew it with your finances. This is what you need to do. And of course, it's a downgrade. It's, no place where they would move ever again, or nothing that they would invest in. And they wouldn't sell their house in a bad market with the interest rates high. And they wouldn't sell it unless they absolutely had to, unfinished, because you get very little money for it. But they might be saying this is what you need to do because you've gotten yourself into this fix. They don't admit that it's maybe due to the government and the economy through poor leadership or something. The inflation has out of whack, has maybe put somebody's finances monthly in mayhem. So, but then they'll tell you what to do, because they know, because they're building up their egos. They're very proud. And this is an example of it. And then say, well, you aren't even liking this idea. You're clenching your teeth. You're gripping your fingers in disgust because you don't like the plan I have that would save you. Even though it would never be anything that they would do. And it wouldn't be really what anyone who was aware of that you don't sell when the buyer's market is such that people aren't buying, and you would get money out of your house. So and interest rates are so high, so when you go around and have to buy another, you're paying more than what your house payment is in the house that you just need to stick it out. But that's how gaslighting works, and why. People already are very narcissistic and proud of just some aspect of themselves, or they are and they have low self-esteem. Sometimes if they are going after you for other reasons, it's because they're trying to build up their self-esteem. So it can be either way. They have low self-esteem and are trying to build it up at your expense, at your degradation, or they have great self-esteem and pride in their abilities. And so that's why they are telling you what to do, because they know and you don't. And they might have empathy. Gaslighters are complex people. We are all complex. But they might be telling you they don't want you doing something because they are concerned about your health, or they are concerned that you'll go bottom up, and that they think you don't have a brain to figure out when you're a certain point you do need to sell no matter what. Or if your health totally goes and you can't keep up your house, then yes, and you have to lose money sometimes. That's how it goes. But it's not from someone who has an ulterior motive that they themselves don't even recognize. Gaslighters often don't recognize what they're doing because they're so used to doing it. They're used to treating people that way, especially if they have a person they perceive as weaker than them, or something that they want as a result. Like that man who started the gaslight term wanted to get rid of his wife. He wanted her out of his life. And he didn't want to do it with a divorce. Back then, divorces were rare and not looked upon at all as anything but bad. So they would get rid of their wives or their husbands in other ways. Drive them crazy, be one way. Or get them to a point where they were so emotionally upset that you could legitimize to a doctor that the person needs to be institutionalized or sent off for therapy, to a sanitarium for the rest of their lives, hopefully, is what they want. So anyway, these are some of the terms, some of the reasons why, and some of the ways that you can stop it. And another way is if there's someone in your life who tends to perceive you as a weak person that they can control, and they've had success doing it because they've gaslit you with success before. Because I didn't even recognize in some situations where I was being gaslit. I didn't recognize my former, when I was married, that was what he was doing until later. I started noticing that part of it, he would also want to move and go someplace else, especially if I loved where we were and loved what we were doing, like the nursery school house. I could work and earn, be creative, and be the director, have my children there that I could be at home with, do my creative projects also, and we earned enough money where I didn't have to work. He didn't like that. I was happy. We were doing well, but I wasn't doing what he wanted. He wanted me also working, taking care of the house, cooking the meals, entertaining his staff, plus taking care of the children, and handling the nursery school curriculum and supplies that I would get every weekend, and washing all the little glasses that they would drink. Back then we used bleach and stuff to sanitize. It was work. And I did all that. Plus, decorate the house so that eventually when we would move, we would make more money on it. And then when the divorce comes, they get half, and they didn't have to do anything. So, so gaslighters can be very manipulative and deceptive, also very sincere and caring. And they themselves don't know that they automatically gravitate to you because they perceive you as weak, and that they have to help you, and they have to tell you how to live your life because you don't know, because your life doesn't look successful to them. So all kinds of motives. And it's time to just sort of assess who we're with, who we're around, who are our friendships, and even if it's family members who do this and we haven't caught on until recently. Well, how do you handle that? Well, you practice by not reacting, and then you very carefully discern if it's something that's very important to you. You go ahead and do it and accept that they're going to be angry and cut you off, or whatever is their punishment for you. And maybe they will, and maybe they're not horrible gaslighters or whatever. Maybe they just need a little time to get used to it and accept. Other things, in loving as God loves, if it is something that's not good for the other person to not do what they want, then we discern it's best to do what they want, and it doesn't bother us to give in. That's sacrificing ourselves and our wants for the better good of the other person. But it's not because the other person has a sick kind of need to control us. That's what you have to discern the difference of. We have to discern motive. And say a person who puts someone down because they're very good at finances and they're very active and they have a very positive life going, and they are very intelligent and very adept in finance, and amassed several $1 million through investing and through being very frugal earlier on, and didn't help, didn't do for the children in the same manner that someone else did or whatever. So they have more money. They have some health. They were able to work their whole career. So they might genuinely feel sorry for someone like me, but they assume that they know better, and so they're going to tell you what to do. Now, if it's wise advice, sure, why not? Let them have their day and feel good about it and thank them. Yeah, that's a good idea. If it's not right for you, don't. But if they're a good friend, you probably have to say thanks for the ideas, but these are the logical facts as to why I cannot do that at this time. But of course I will if my circumstance becomes untenable or dire. Then of course I will take your thought into consideration or come up with a different idea yourself. But otherwise, it's as well just not to respond much or say thanks for the idea. I'll consider it when the time comes. And that keeps the friendship intact. You need to decide with some friendships and relationships or people who do this, is it worth keeping that friendship? Or is it time to back away and not email or not discuss your life as you used to with that friend when they're getting to a point where they are wanting to tell you what to do and how to live your life? Is it better just to sort of back away a little bit? That's what teens and young adults do with their parents. Individuate out. They realize we are mature enough now. We're on our own. Yes, we'll make our mistakes, but we don't want to hear it from mom and dad anymore on every little thing. If we want the advice, we'll go to mom and dad and ask and express that to the parents. But the same with friends. Kindly try to say, now, if I need advice on investing or on health issues or what I should be doing or what, I'll ask you for advice. That's a good way to do it. Otherwise, if someone is very malignantly gaslighting you, you need to leave. You need to get away from that friendship. And that can work either way. If we are coming on too strong with someone and getting frustrated with them and they're not listening and they're making mistakes and we see them, we have to tone it down. But the way we present an idea is all important. That's the difference between being a good friend and giving ideas to them. Not even advice, but just ideas. Here's an idea. Is the way we do it. If we are putting the other person down and harming the person, psychologically, emotionally, making them feel like they're not worth anything or that they don't have a brain in their head, that's not good. And those are the people we get away from. And it can be hard, but sometimes you just need to do that. If it's a family member, I think it needs to be worked out. And because people can learn, adult children and parents can learn how to interact and not cause hurt or upset with people. So those are just some of the different aspects of gaslighting and of giving ideas and suggestions as opposed to outright advice. And how to love as God loves. That's the main reason I'm talking about these temporal day in and day out issues, is we also start learning how God loves. And we love as God loves. So we'll maybe come up with some different ideas on that. By now, I think we should know. God loves with patience, with tenderness. God loves as God loves us, we love others. And that means to do no harm to the person, to not destroy their self-esteem, or to lie, to exaggerate and lie about them. You fall all over the place. You shouldn't be doing this or that, when that's not true. Exaggerations like that is not something that we love. God does not love lies. God does not love ugliness or evil or manipulation of others in a bad way. So that's what to keep in mind if we are going to love the gaslighter or not, and let them get away with that kind of thing. But God loves indiscriminately. So with gaslighting, we can love the person, but not what they do, and not the methods they use, and not the mindset they have and the manipulation with which they use it. So that's not what we love, but we can still love the person's soul. God would love the person's soul. And God with the young man, what do I do to come into your kingdom? Think of that. What can I do to be your friend? I want to be your friend. Well, you tell the person, this is how. If they're a gaslighter of you, set some boundaries. I don't want to be treated like this. I had a friend once who treated me like that. If someone starts doing that, we can do our teaching and say what we will accept in a friendship or a relationship with the parents or relatives or whomever. But we still love. We love as God loves, love their souls, love them as creatures of God, but learn the difference of boundaries and of loving as God loves and not loving as people tend to love in what we can get out of it. I hope that's clear. It gets into fine lines, but ponder it. That's what we need to do, is ponder more how God loves, and then take these situations that come up in our everyday life where someone's doing that to us. And our reaction is we want to tear their livers out. We don't like them. We don't love them. But yet, they're humans. They are created by God. How can we love these people as God loves, but yet not be involved with them? Jesus let the young man walk away. Jesus said, if you're offering your peace to someone and they don't return it, take your peace back that you offered. Take your goodness back and move on, walk on, and shake the dust off your sandals. But he doesn't say we don't love people. We love them, but we don't love like how they mistreat us, and we don't take our love back. We still love them. We don't take our love back, but we take our inner peace back. We take our self-respect back. That's what I'm trying to get across. I hope it's clear. I'm sure it is. You guys are with it. I'm not with it that well anyway. So just trying to express these thoughts and to get us all thinking and pondering still with the overriding aspect of loving as God loves. God bless His real presence in us, and let us keep at it. Love as God loves.